are in a very unique spot in the NFL. They're the only team that consistently wins this year, and you never really feel good about it. that doesn't exist in the NFL, right? You win, you're happy. 0 for 3 on 2-point conversions, 0 for 2 on fourth down, passing on makeable field goals, constantly chasing points. They're like a day trader that's on a bit of a hot streak, but you know it's not sustainable. The roster's great. Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, David Lee Roth in it, jumping over people. Young defense, all sorts of twitch and speed and length. This game was a blowout. It was 22-0. Jacksonville was reeling, weren't competing. I went and looked at time of possession. It was like 38 minutes to 21. Third down efficiency. The Eagles were brilliant. They were over 50%. The Jags were terrible at 3 and 10. First downs dominant. You go look at the box score of this game, and it feels like it's 45-14. They led 22-0. And all of a sudden you look up, and Trevor Lawrence is sitting back in the pocket throwing to the end zone, and they're going to lead with about a minute and a half left as the ball is caught. That's Philadelphia. There is a way in this sport to coach a game, A, when you lead, and B, when you lead with a clearly better roster. Detroit did that yesterday. You just step on a team, you eat the clock, you don't take risks. That was Detroit against Green Bay, the better team. That's what Philadelphia is doing. It's just crazy, unnecessary risks when you have the better roster and a lead. They're starting to win in spite of their head coach. And again, the dice are rolling their way because they're so absurdly talented. They have a great general manager, Howie Roseman. But this stuff doesn't last in the playoffs. Thank God Saquon Barkley's on the roster. And Jalen Hurts, last several weeks, no mistakes, no reckless, playing well. Devontae Smith. And thank God for the Jags, who just get in their own way. But every Eagles win, doesn't it feel like, even if you're an Eagles fan, they all come with asterisk? You're all like, yeah, we won, but, and that doesn't exist in the NFL. You win. If you're a road team, you get in a plane, fly home, you celebrate. If you're a home team and win, well, we didn't play great, but, it's a W. We'll go back and stare at the film. Philadelphia is like, Nick Sirianni, this is how good the roster is 40-19. That is, I think that's the best winning percentage of any active NFL coach right now. And 3 weeks ago, there was a feeling if they went on kind of a bad streak, he'd be fired. So a lot of risks, unnecessary. Like, you just got to know what you have. And when you have a roster that's this gifted, the Saquon Barkley theft from the New York Giants is insane. When Christian McCaffrey's not playing, that's the best running back in the sport. It is remarkable. I love watching Philadelphia play because they make blowouts competitive. They make routes fascinating. Barkley's just an all-time talent. But here's Nick Sirianni on his overly aggressive play on calling 2-point conversions.
Today it didn't work, but that's the way it goes. That's the hat I have to wear, right? When we get a fourth down and we convert a fourth down, we're not, it's nothing's really said. When we don't, I understand that there's going to be questions.
Yes, and when you have a much better team and a much better roster, and you really know you're the superior team, there's a way to coach. Analytics are giving you little secrets on a way to coach situational football. And there's also the big macro feel, like Detroit yesterday. We're better. We got a big lead. Green Bay's not playing great. Let's just get on a plane and get home and fly out of this wet, rainy weather. Philadelphia, that game should have never been remotely close. J-Mac with a news.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with what Colin is saying here. I really do. I know we have this subset of Philadelphia Eagles fans who really, really are supportive of Nick Sirianni, but this was really a great example of some of the issues with Nick Sirianni. But I don't want to make a whole video harping on all of this, quite frankly. Colin pretty much already did that. So I want to talk about the game as a whole, because I thought this was an awesome game and had so many great things. And to kind of defend Sirianni, right, that 3rd and 17 touchdown run from Barkley, which was at the 19, you saw Kellen Moore was chasing down Nick Sirianni, right? They were like kids. They were so excited together, right? There's been all these reports and rumors that Sirianni is essentially like it's been constructed from the media essentially that Nick Sirianni is on the outside kind of looking in. And that type of behavior is just not that, right? Like that's just not what you would see in those moments. It's very clear that Sirianni is connected into this team. I do disagree with his decision making. I really, really do. But the team does buy into it, which is what then makes it a little bit more harder. Because just because a team buys into it doesn't mean that it's appropriate, right? It's just not. Just look at the previous coach for the Chargers. They bought into Staley, and yet he was not the right coach. They got Harbaugh now. They're instantly better. Like, that's what it is. And this roster is so stacked. So stacked. I mean, you guys see it. You see the throws that Jalen Hurts is making, what Saquon Barkley is doing. When I said that Saquon Barkley was going to have a Christian McCaffrey effect on the Eagles, I got ripped. Everyone was trying to tell me that Saquon Barkley's not good. He's not that good. He was only good his like rookie year, yada, yada, yada. I mean, the dude had 199 total yards, right? 27 carries for 159 yards, 5.9 yards per carry, and 3 receptions for 40 and 2 total touchdowns. I mean, the things that he's doing, you saw it. I mean, you see the spin move and then like a reverse, I don't even know what to call what he did, right? I mean, you guys all saw it. I mean, it's just insane. And the Jags have a great run defense. The Jags have the 9th best run defense. They on average, they were giving up 111 yards. The Eagles rushed for 239. I mean, it's just wild. Jalen Hurts was 10 for 69. 10 carries for 69 yards, picking up some major first downs, key first downs. Hurts was 18 for 24, 230 yards, 9.6 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns. I mean, just beast. The defense first 3 turnovers. The Jags only had 212 total yards. The Eagles were 9 for 17 on third, which is great. 446 total yards and 3 for 4 in the red zone. But yet they technically could have lost this game. Now, I don't think they would have, because this team was rolling so much that even if they gave up a touchdown, I believe that the Eagles would have marched right back down the field, and all they would have needed was a field goal. So I do believe that they still would have won that game. But again, it's always hard. You're kind of guessing here. But the one-handed touchdown from Jalen Hurts to Devontae, I mean, was just wild. I mean, just wild. And again, to be able to do this with also A.J. Brown going down, that shows the resilience of this team. That shows that I was really impressed by that, actually. Because to be able to do this and show the resilience, because that is what the Eagles were not showing earlier on in the season, was their level of resilience. So the fact that they were able to show their resilience despite a perfect they're down two starters. They're down Dallas Goedert, they were down A.J. Brown, and they were down at least one starting Mailata, and then I don't know if anyone else went down throughout the game. I don't know if they were in and out. I forget Johnson went down, but I don't know if he came back. I forget. The broadcast doesn't always do a good job of like updating on that, so I'm not sure how long he was out or if he ever returned. Like, you had a lot of moving parts here, and so to see the Eagles be able to overcome all that, I think is great. To see Jalen Hurts overcome all that, because there's kind of the feeling that the Eagles have to be in a perfect situation to be at their best, and to a degree, for them to be their most dominant, they need to be in a perfect situation. But I think that's probably true with 99.999% of the teams out there in any given moment. But to see what they were still able to do despite kind of all of this, I know it was against the Jags, but I still found it really impressive, honestly. I mean, they made Trevor uncomfortable. The defense has been so opportunistic, man. That defense, getting some of those turnovers, the interceptions off the tip from Bond. I mean, it was just great, right? I even wrote down, defense is just alive, alert, ready to make a play, right? My dad used to always say, when he was both a coach and when he was on the sidelines and I'm out there, he'd always just say, like, look alive out there, look alive out there. And it was always so annoying, because it was always like, what are you talking about? Look alive out there. I do look alive. Like, I'm out there playing, engaging. I'm doing everything I got. I give it all. But it's very accurate, because the Eagles defense in the first few weeks did not, quote, look alive. They look alive. They are ready to make a play. The defense looks young, fast, physical. I mean, it's just awesome. A huge interception to seal the game. I mean, it's awesome to see. Jalen Hurts is taking care of the ball. And you know what? The score is also misleading. I don't want to blame the refs and all of this because the Eagles still put themselves in this situation more than they needed to be. But the Saquon Barkley fumble, first off, the 2-point conversion was clearly 2 points. Because you even had the ref, who works for Fox or the media or CBS, what was it, CBS, I think it was, right? You could see that he's like, oh, that should be overturned. The 2 points should be given to them. And then it wasn't. It was very clear as day. And then the Saquon Barkley fumble was insane. Everybody on the broadcast was confused. Every single one of them. That led to 8 points. They were able to score 16 points in a minute. Saquon Barkley did not fumble that ball. They would have milked the clock more. At the very least, they would have punted. So then they wouldn't have scored that easy 8 points. And who's to say that the Eagles wouldn't have scored again? Because the Eagles were doing pretty well offensively. So, I mean, that ended up being a potential 15-point swing. Or at a minimum 11-point swing. Or at a minimum 8-point swing. So again, subtract 8 points from the Jags. And add 7 to the Eagles. Or 3 to the Eagles. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, that's also misleading and absurd. But like I said, the Eagles should be in a better position to not have their game ruined by a bad call against a team like the Jags. It's more acceptable if you're going up against another good team where you're like, well, wait a second, we lost that game, but what about this awful call, right? Then we could say, all right, did that call really, how much did it matter in a game? It should not have mattered this much against the Jags. And again, that is credit to what Colin is saying about Nick Sirianni and calling this game, because it's like, what are we doing here? Right? Why are you calling the game in the way that this game is being called? And it is on Sirianni, right? That is where we know that Sirianni steps over Kellen Moore and says, we're going for 2. Right? We're gonna do the brotherly shove. Right? Or actually, now we're not going to do the brotherly shove this time. We're going to do a variation. And the one play where they had Jalen Hurts kind of roll out and left him on an island. I forget if that was a 2-point conversion or if that was when they were going for it on 4th down, one of those conversions. And it was like, what was that now? What was that? So just the game was highlighted how great the Eagles can be and how dominant they can be. And it showed how great their defense is and their offense. But this game also showed some of the issues with coaching. And because of that, Colin, he didn't really say this outright, but he said this in his podcast yesterday. He thinks the Eagles are fool's gold. He thinks that they're fool's gold. He thinks that's why it says, win streak fool's gold. He thinks that they're a great team, the roster, but coaching is a problem and that they're going to lose in the playoffs. That's what he said. So we shall see. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Philadelphia Eagles? Do you think that this win streak is fool's gold? Do you think Nick Sirianni is a problem? What do you think about this team as a whole? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.